Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here in Arizona for a couple of days. Let's talk about trading. Let's talk about mental game. The problem that a lot of you have, well, all of us really, the problem all of us have with trading or investing is that we're human. That's right, we are human. And because we are human, we have a brain. And that brain sometimes gets in our way. I would say all the time gets in our way. Let me explain that. Our brain, at least when it comes to trading and investing, can be broken down into really two separate brains. We have the very primitive brain, the limbic system, which goes back millions of years. I mean, that brain is there, is designed to protect us. It is wired or to the fight or flight mechanism wired throughout our entire body. It is a forest of nerves and ganglions hooked up to every part of our body, our respiratory system, our muscles, our endocrine system, our glands, all of that. And it is there to protect us. That's the fight or flight mechanism. And that brain, it cannot distinguish between you facing a hungry lion or grizzly bear and an adverse position in the stock market. It will react, and it reacts automatically. The first phase of its reaction, when you are faced with a threat, and again, it cannot distinguish between you facing a hungry mountain lion or a grizzly bear or the market moving violently against you. The first reaction is the release of adrenaline. Your muscles pump up, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your breathing, everything designed to help you in a fight or flight situation. That was designed to protect you, to protect us in the case of a threat that might cause the end of your life. And it can't distinguish, it doesn't have the ability to distinguish the level of severity of that threat. It reacts. All right. And you can't help it. I mean, that's just physiological. That happens, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, uh, let me go to the second part of the brain. The second part of the brain is the higher brain, the frontal cortex. That's reason, that's logic, that's understanding, all of that stuff. All right. That's what separates us from basic animals, supposedly. So when you are faced with a threat, again, the first reaction of that brain is to panic. Not panic, but to set you up for a fight or flight situation. When it comes to the markets and trading, that fight or flight response is you getting out, getting out of a loss, right? They say prudently taking losses, stopping yourself out, running. That is the flight. You run away. You run away from that situation, and those negative feelings, the adrenaline, the panic, the rapid heart rate, the sweating, all that stuff, it comes back down to a normal state. You ran away. But that isn't the path to success. Unbelievably, though, it is put out there in so called all the trading wisdom that you have to take losses as the path to success. All right? And what happens if that stress is a prolonged stress, as it usually is in the markets, right? You can be in a position that's not working out for a long period of time. You could be in a market environment that's not providing you with opportunity, it's creating stress. Then what happens is that initial response by the limbic system, the primitive brain of the adrenaline rush and the muscles pumping up and the heart rate and all of that stuff, the rapid breathing for more oxygen, all that stuff switches over to another level because all of those responses are designed to be short term. It's to get you out of the situation. But if it's a prolonged period of stress or threat, as it often is in trading for reasons I just mentioned, the market's not working out for you, your position's not working out, then it switches over into a different kind of support system. Your body releases cortisol. Cortisol again, is a chemical designed to protect us. It's to keep us in an elevated state, but not that pumped up fight or flight elevated state. But that is like a blowtorch inside your body. You're literally eating yourself up. You are eating yourself up, and it leads to all kinds of health problems: high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, you name it. And that's obviously a very bad state to be in for a prolonged period of time because you don't want those health problems, right? Um, and this is the problem. Like, we as traders are going to be faced with that situation unless you accept the fight or flight, which is stopping yourself out and taking losses constantly, and then believing there's some kind of a magical system out there that's going to avoid these kind of market environments, which is it's just fantasy. That's impossible. That's not going to happen. And even if you have, I'm not knocking systems, okay? But even in systems, and you could ask anyone who is a system trader, a successful system trader, there's going to be periods of stress and adversity, and you're going to be second guessing the system. I mean, that's still going to be there. So let's just put aside this notion that there's something magical out there that's going to get you to where you want to go. It still boils down to the management of yourself, and it's the mental toughness that you need to develop. So first of all, you have to engage your higher brain. You have to use it when you're faced with a situation like that in the market. Number one, you have to tell yourself you're not going to die. You're not about to be eaten by a hungry mountain lion or a grizzly bear. You're not going to die. You're going to live to go on and fight and invest and trade and do whatever you have to do. And hopefully you didn't overextend yourself to where financially you die. And that's, something that goes back to what I have said many times, how that goes back to a kind of an immaturity, of a neediness, of a need to have big money now, to make it now. I can't wait. The inability to have patience. I need it now. So you got to engage the higher brain, and you also have to get mentally tough. How do you get mentally tough? Well, you get mentally tough by facing stress and adversity and looking at that as a challenge rather than a threat that you run away from. And your brain is like any other muscle in your body. The more you exercise it with resistance, the tougher it gets. And there have actually been laboratory experiments using rats and mice and laboratory animals faced with prolonged periods of stress. Whereas the first reaction, and they measure the chemicals in their bodies, they measure adrenaline, they measure cortisol, where the initial response is, that pumping up, the adrenaline, the muscles tightening, the breathing, the heart rate. But over prolonged periods of stress, repeatedly, the animals start to adjust for that. They literally become mentally tougher. So what am I saying? To have success in the game, you have to face, first of all, you have to understand that these situations are going to happen repeatedly, over and over again. And there's nothing, and your reaction to them, by the way, don't feel bad about this, your reaction is physiological, it's biological, there's nothing you can do about it. You have a brain, we're all built and wired in the same way. Although some people do have less sensitivity to stress. It's just the way they are, good for them. But it doesn't mean you can't improve yourself. And it also doesn't mean that there's a way around it. You're going to have these feelings. You're going to have these reactions. But you have to understand what is happening. First of all, you're not faced with a dire threat. And second of all, you have to, when these things happen, you have to understand that's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to view that as a challenge and to work to become mentally tougher. That's going to get you to where you want to go. There's no other way around it. There's no secret formula. Quitting is not the answer. Taking so-called prudent losses is not the answer. That's the flight or fight syndrome that's put out there because people don't understand the physiology of what is going on, and they think that it's better to run away. That doesn't help you. Doesn't help you. Mental toughness, understanding what is going on, understanding that the threat is not dire in the sense you are not going to die or get eaten, and looking at those periods as a challenge as opposed to a threat, building up mental toughness. That's how you're going to get there. Have a nice day.